How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Wheelhouse Podcast. I'm Aidan Hatch, and I'm here with my buddy Matthew Britton here. Now, obviously, as you can tell, it's just the two of us today. There's no Kurtis Lowe. He is absent today, but it's fine. The show must go on, even without our boy Kurtis. There's just going to be the two of us today. Before this episode started, we made our power rankings for the MLB season so far, and we're going to be going over that as well as maybe a couple other things, but a lot of this episode today is going to be a lot about our power rankings. And, our power rankings are a little bit different. We went over them, and we're just going to be talking about them. Maddie, do you want to start us off with your bottom five teams in the league? First off, how you doing so far?
I'm doing good. It's been a good week of baseball. A lot of good things going on. A couple more injuries we talked about last episode. Injuries are kind of piling up around the league. It's a little sucky, but I will say these power rankings, some aspects were easy, but that middle 20 was really tough for me. The top five, bottom five felt pretty easy. Middle 20 was tough. I'll start from 30 to 26. I had the Angels at 30, Rockies 29, Giants 28, Mets 27, and Tigers at 26. Do you have any objections? What did you have different?
So
And then
I
we can kind of
have,
explain ourselves afterwards.
yeah, so I put the Astros at 25. So my bottom five was the Angels, Rockies, Giants. And then I put the Tigers and the Astros instead. Those are my bottom five teams. I just think, we'll talk about the Red
So
Sox.
if you won different was you had the Mets and then tear up, and you had the Astros tear down.
Yeah, I just switched them around, and
Order
then
different. Okay.
yeah, yeah, and then
Why is that?
I just think, well, one, I think when it comes to the Mets, like they've at least had some moments. They've played a little bit better. Yes, like did they totally just get swept by the Marlins? Absolutely. But I think before that, they kind of were playing a little bit better baseball, like a little bit more to their brand, even though they've just been very disappointing. I think when it comes to the Tigers, they pretty much were going all in, and they've just been horrible. And I just don't think they're the 25th team. I think they're a little bit worse. Like they're the bottom four, just with the expectations versus how they've actually been playing. Kenley Jansen was one out away. He's already blown four saves this year, which is like the most. It's already tied for the most he's blown in the last like 4 or 5 years or something like that. Um, and then for the Astros, they've had so many injuries pile up. Jordan literally got injured. I think it was yesterday. Had to leave the game as precaution. Was like lower back spasms. The Astros just had nothing going for them. They haven't been able to get any momentum. I just think for them, they're by far a bottom five team compared to like I know the Mets have been putrid, but um, I just think the Astros are a little bit worse than them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Contemplating the Astros, I had the Astros at 25. You had them at 26, so it's not like they were far off.
Yeah,
But the Mets, to me, have just completely underperformed in many different ways. So that was really a big part of why I had them down. And also just coming off a sweep of the Marlins where they scored two total runs in 3 games. I just like recency bias, but I couldn't get myself to put them in that tier above,
yeah,
even though you had them at 24. It looks like, which spoiler alert, but
yeah,
that's not much higher than I had them. It's just one of
yeah,
those where both those teams have underperformed. Tigers have been terrible. I have them at 26. Only reason they're at 26 is because Scooble comes back healthy. I could see a way that they somewhat get back into the race. I mean, probably not, and he's probably heading to a different team at the deadline based on how it is right now. I don't think they're going to be able to retain him, and I think they're going to want to haul back. It's pretty clear that they don't have enough to go win right now. So yeah, but the bottom three we had the exact same: Giants, Rockies, Angels. Um, yeah, I think all those teams have underperformed. The Giants are the only team there that had any expectation at all, but even
yeah.
theirs were
They
not
weren't
great.
as
I guess they
yeah,
played okay. Devers has gotten hot, but it's not. Giants are just not really a good baseball team right now. So
yeah. And I'd say the Giants were also a shock. They brought a new manager. They had a whole new look. Devers getting his first full season in San Francisco. The team didn't look bad on paper. Like they had the talent, they had the pitching, they had the offense. Like the lineup is pretty good. Instantly, they couldn't score a run in like 3 games. I mean, and then their manager has no prior like major league, minor league experience coming from Tennessee, instantly getting his first gig in the MLB. It's just like in hindsight, was it really ever gonna work? Like, we're just gonna see what happens. I mean, they've already traded Patrick Bailey, who was um, one of their best defensive catchers and one of the best defensive catchers in the league, to Cleveland. There's been talks of Devers getting traded. Like we'd mentioned, Scooble's most likely getting traded if someone's going to have enough balls to actually trade away at least like five players, both major league and minor league talent. Um, yeah, it's just a very interesting like scenario, I guess, for both these teams. Like, just very different. One of them is a pretty much a college manager in the MLB right now, and the other one has the back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, who's most likely going to be traded if someone wants him to go win a World Series. So, but I mean, either way, both teams have been off to pretty bad starts. So,
Yeah, and it's not just starts at this point. I mean, yeah, a lot of teams use Memorial Day as the benchmark for what teams shape out to be. What your team is now is likely you're going to see a few changes, and that's what it's going to be the rest of the year. But we're a third of the way through at this point, so for me, a lot of these teams in this bottom tier, it's too big of a hole to dig out of,
yeah.
especially for the Mets because the Braves are playing so well, and that NL Central is really going to clog up those wild card spots. Um, so for me, I think like obviously it's not over. The Mets haven't got Lindor back, and Soto's finally rolling. I mean, he's playing really, really well right now. I know he was out yesterday with sickness or something, but regardless, even how well Soto's played, they scored 2 runs in 3 games against the Marlins. I know on the road and the Marlins have a decent staff, but you're not going to beat anyone scoring 2 runs in 3 games. Just being honest. So yeah, this bottom tier is pretty bad. You want to move up top to 25 to 21 and let me
Yeah.
know what you got.
Yeah, so I'll start there. I'll just go in order from 25 21. I've got the Red Sox. So I put the Mets above the Red Sox. And then there's the Mets at 24. And then I put the Royals, Marlins, and the Orioles. That's my 25 through 21.
Okay. Yeah, my 25 through 21 was I had the Reds. No. I had the Astros at 25, Royals 24, Red Sox 23, Marlins 22, and the Nats at 21. So again pretty similar teams. Some teams in the same spot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean there's not too much to talk about these teams. They're all just kind of eh, you know.
Yeah. Like they've had their moments, I feel like, for the most part. Like the Red Sox feel like they've kinda had their moments, but I think the Red Sox have been hugely disappointing. I mean, I feel like we can't just not talk about that. Everybody thought Roman Anthony was gonna take a huge step at 21 years old, and it felt like at the same time the Red Sox were putting this pressure to make this 21-year-old kid the superstar of that team, which is it's so hard to do when you're that young. The only way that it works out is when you have a good supporting cast around that player, and it feels like he doesn't really. Like you could say Wilson Contreras is a good supporting cast just based off how he's been playing, which I think he's gonna be a great trade candidate in the next couple of months. By the way, I think a lot of teams are gonna be
Yeah,
wanting that first base DH. I don't know if someone will put him behind the dish. Maybe I don't know when's the last time he's caught is, but
emergency catcher or something.
yeah, but outside of
Yeah.
that, Crochet's been injured. Anthony's dealt with injuries and just not good play. The entire infield has just been underperform. There's just been a lot of underperforming in Boston. I feel like just the team did not shape up how it was supposed to be, and this is just the cause and effect slowly of just trying to move Devers off of third base, trading him away after a couple of months because you wanted Bregman, and then you don't even get Bregman back, and then you're settled with Caleb Durbin, and you're moving him around with Marcelo Meyer, and they couldn't get comfortable, and then Roman Anthony dealing with his oblique injury at the end of last year, kind of carrying over, and then just the slow start for the Red Sox. It all just kind of piled on from the end of last year, it feels like.
Yeah, for the Red Sox, I mean, they're the only team in this tier. I guess you had the Mets in this tier, but we already touched on them. They're the only team in this tier that really had super high expectations. I mean, a lot of people were picking them to win the division. A lot of people really love. Um, honestly, they have tons of left-handed starting pitching. When you really talk about Crochet, they went and got Ranger. Tolley is now up, and Tolley's been amazing. And then Connolly early as well, another young guy who really flashed in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, they kind of prided themselves on the philosophy of pitching and defense. And while that can be good, is you don't give up a lot of runs in multiple ways by your defense saving runs and your pitchers preserving runs as well. You can win a lot of games, but it also really leaves it up to the offense to score runs to win games. I mean, we've seen throughout the year, and honestly, there's a few teams on this list that are the complete opposite. We touched on the Astros; they're the complete opposite. They can't stop anybody right now, and part of that's injury based, but they can only score runs and they can't preserve any runs. So um, there needs to be more balance, and I think that's one of the reasons the Red Sox are really struggling. Breslow went out and didn't really give much of a try to get Bregman back. They end up with Caleb Durbin, who I guess is a guy who's young in the league and had a decent showing with the Brewers last year in the Yankee system. He was always solid, kind of a pesky base runner, can make plays in the field and sneak out a couple balls, but it really hasn't been that so far. I think the Red Sox pitching has suffered from injuries as well. I mean, Sonny Gray's not really getting it done either. I think that was another move that they expected to be a bigger time move. He's not really taking a step back, but you can just see him like kind of aging in the league and not being, that top caliber all-star arm that they were hoping he would be. So overall, the Red Sox just aren't really getting it done. In this tier, though, I kind of want to talk about the Marlins because for me, the Marlins are a team that could graduate to the next tier. I'm not saying they're a great ball club, but they do have a lot of makings of a pretty fun young team. Between Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez, Owen Casey, I mean, we got to talk about Liam Hicks. We got to talk about. I know they just brought up was it Robbie Snelling, and he got hurt. So like they got tons of young talent coming up and playing well all around the diamond, getting it done in different ways. So I think they're kind of a team to watch out, to be a little bit pesky. I like what the Marlins are doing. I think their pitching is solid. It's not the best thing in the world, but they have young arms as well. So I'm a fan of what the Marlins are doing. I could see them graduating up to the next tier in the next month or two.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually going to talk about the Marlins too. I mean, I feel like any team from the Royals and up can kind of be moved up and down a little bit, but I feel like from the Mets and down, they're probably just going to stay for the most part throughout the rest of this year. Maybe just reorder those teams, but yeah, the Marlins. I mean, I was I've been like not like a fan of the Marlins, but I just like watching the Marlins because they're just like a fun, pesky team. Like they're a team that just like you gotta fight for 27 outs. Like no matter how good or bad they are, they will just make you work to get those outs. And you could be up 5-0 in the ninth inning, and the Marlins could make a comeback just like that. Like you just never know with this team. Yeah, they have some issues. Like I think the bullpen, like it's not like there's nothing that they're specifically like super great about in terms of offense, defense, and pitching. But I think they're very like average at everything, like middle of the pack, which makes them like a very just like scrappy team. Like they don't really have a guy that's gonna go out there and hit 30 bombs in a season. They don't have a guy that's gonna be a Cy Young candidate or anything crazy. At least right now, I think Yuri Perez has the chance. We've seen Sandy Alcantara win Cy Young, but he's he had the strong start to the year, but I think it's been kind of back down to earth for him a little bit. Um, and then just like the bullpen, I mean, they got Pete Fairbanks, and I haven't really heard much about him or seen much about him. But yeah, I think the Marlins are definitely gonna be a really fun team. Like I was telling you this before the season started, that the Marlins could finish with 70 to 80 wins, just because. I mean, they ended last year on a super high note, and they've kind of carried it all over into this year. And like you said, Liam Hicks, Xavier Edwards. I think I saw a post. It might have been from Fuzzy. It was like their bat speed or something has gone up so fast, which just had them all have um like career years, or at least like Liam Hicks right now has had a career year because of that.
Yeah, the Marlins are fun to watch. We'll get into it a little bit in the next tier. You had the Orioles at 21, ahead of the below the Nats. I had the Orioles at 20, just above the Nats. We flip flopped those. Uh, I'll kind of explain my thinking for why that is, and then I want you to explain your thinking in the same way.
Hmm.
So for me, the Orioles, they haven't performed well, and I know we didn't really make this list off of expectation. Otherwise, you'd see a little bit different of teams up and down. Like we'd see the Mets a little higher off expectation, stuff like that, all that good stuff, right? But for me, I think the Orioles have ran into a little bit of a tough schedule early in the season. They've already played 2 series against the Yankees, who are the top, one of the top teams in the AL East, and they've are playing their second series against the Rays right now as we speak. So I think just playing, over 10 games against those two teams is pretty tough early in the season. And I know they were just in the Trop too, and the Rays we talked about last episode and the episode before how they're kind of unstoppable at the Trop. So I think for them, they've ran into a little bit of a tough schedule along with underperforming. So for me, I give them a little bit more grace than the Nats, even though the Nats are playing really good baseball. We've seen Abrams really become a force. I mean, James Wood is playing amazing. Dylan Cruz just got called up. He had a bomb the other day. Their pitching's been kind of exciting to watch as well. Foster Griffin from the left side has been a fun pitcher to watch for me. I was watching the game the other day against the Braves, and he got into a little bit of a rut, and then he just makes pitches when it matters. And I think that's a good quality to have for them, especially after they dealt Mackenzie Gore in the offseason. You were kind of thinking, well, they don't have any pitching at all. And, for the most part, that's still true, but they've had some, unsung heroes, and the Nats are kind of playing good, fun baseball. I kind of view them the same as I do the Marlins, even though, they're in the same division, so it's hard to. But for me, that's just the reason I put the O's a little bit above. I just feel like they've ran into a little bit of schedule luck against them. So I have a feeling that the O's will be a little bit better in the second half and kind of shape up with a little bit more towards what they were projected to be, although I don't think they're going to be that big bad team that some people thought they were lineup wise. But that's my reasoning for having them one spot above.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's valid. Like they're gonna be kind of intertwined. I feel like for a little bit because they're kind of playing at a similar level. I was looking at the numbers. The Nats are scoring 5.3 runs a game, which is more than the Braves actually, but they give up 5.6 runs a game. So you're scoring 5 runs a game and you're still giving up more runs than you're scoring, which just shows how bad your pitching staff is. Which you can't do. You can only do so much about that realistically. I know you traded Mackenzie Gore, but just with the team you have, you can only do so much with that. And then when you look at the Orioles, they give up 5.3 runs a game and they score 4.2. So they're scoring an entire run less a game than the Nats. I think not as simply like the Nats are 500 right now. They're 27 and 27. They're above the Phillies right now. I know the Phillies. I don't even think they play today. No, the Phillies have the day off today. So you're at 500. I feel like it's pretty hard. I think it's pretty brutal putting a team that's 500 in the bottom 10, as much as like they're kind of our bottom 10 team at the same time. I just think one, neither of these teams are going to make the playoffs. I don't think the Orioles are going to make it because of their pitching. They're just going to forever have a pitching problem because they invested too much of their hitting, which is good, but when you invest money in the pitching, you're giving it to Shane Baz, who hasn't proven anything in the league, and you're giving him almost $70 million for 5 years. Like, the Orioles are investing, but they're not necessarily investing in the right guys all the time. Like, they could have gone out and got somebody better. I feel like they could have made a trade. They could have just tried to re-sign Corbin Burns like the offseason before, and they didn't. But I guess they couldn't do anything about that because Corbin Burns always wanted to go back to Arizona, to where his hometown is. But yeah, um, I don't know. I just think the Nats, like when I watch the Nats, I just think that their offense is better than what the Orioles are giving out overall. And I agree. Like the Orioles definitely had a really like rough start to the year, and they're literally, as we're speaking, they're losing to the Rays right now. But I don't know. I just think if I were to take a team, I would take the Nats any day of the week. I think if I like to build off of, I would take the Nats because I think you could build off and get better pitching better than it would be for the Orioles in my opinion.
No, that's perfectly fair. And honestly, when you really boil it down, like they're very similar teams when you break down like the makeup. It's a lot of offense and not a lot of pitching. Um, I think the Orioles offense hasn't clicked the way it will eventually. Pete Alonso hasn't gotten going. Gunner's been, on and off. Honestly, Adley Rutschman's been kind of a bright spot for them. Samuel Basallo's been pretty good. So they've had some guys, live up to it. And Taylor Ward's getting on base a lot, but he's not really hitting for the power that he did last year. I think they were kind of hoping he would for a bit more pop. Last year he hit a ton of bombs. So I totally agree. Honestly, these teams are pretty interchangeable and they have a similar makeup. But I mean, given the nod to the Nats, doesn't upset me since they do have a better record right now.
Yeah, I
Do
also
we
feel
move up
like
to 20 to 16?
yeah, but I also wanted to say I
Or
feel like the
no, no, finish
Orioles.
your thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like the Orioles have a better chance of moving higher up in the standings as well than the Nats do this year. So I feel like just based off how those teams playing right now, I just think the Nats are slightly better, but I also don't think the Nats are gonna get much higher up this year. But I think the Orioles have a chance to go up, but they also have a chance to go down. It's just like if it's a 50-50. But I think the Orioles have a better chance of moving up in the standings. And I just think, get the Nationals their spotlight while they can because I just don't think they're going to get higher than this in my opinion. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
yeah, wrapping off 16 through 20. So I had the Nats at 20, and then after that was the Rangers, the Twins, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays right now. I think the Blue Jays they've been picking it up. I know Cease and Vlad got injured yesterday and had to leave their games, but Blue Jays definitely been picking it up lately. They've been dealing with guys coming back from injury. I mean they have dealt with injuries all year, literally like yesterday, like I just mentioned, but they've been able to fight it off, I guess, and just find ways to stack wins and get series wins. The Twins, nobody thought the Twins, who just sold everything off and gave everybody but Buxton away last year, would be. What are they? Are they? They're above 500 right now, right? They're one game under. Okay,
I
so
believe so.
they're staying around. They've been
One
staying
game
around
under.
500 all year long. I thought they would have been closer to. I thought they would have been in the bottom tier, to be honest. And they've been able to just scrap off wins.
Yep.
And they even sent out Royce
Yep.
Lewis, who was their number one overall pick years ago, and everybody thought, oh, this is his
Yep.
chance to get games in every single day, stay healthy, and he's been healthy, but not necessarily good.
No, no, not at all. Not living up to what they're supposed to be doing. Um, we had similar teams here again. I had the O's at 20. We already spoke about that. And then we
Yeah.
had the same spot for the Rangers at 19. I had the M's at 18. You had them at 17. And then I had the Twins at 17. And I had the Phillies at 16. So no Blue Jays for me. Blue Jays are one tier above. For me, I just think the Blue Jays this is a little bit projected as well from my end. The amount of injuries they've had to deal with this year is kind of crazy, but of course, since they've got a couple guys back, it's been a lot better. They've had Trey Savage come back and be exactly what everyone thought he would be. Dylan Cease is pitching like he could be a Cy Young candidate. Vlad honestly hasn't really gotten it going, but them missing Alejandro Kirk as well is kind of a big presence in the lineup. Missing, he was a guy who's not really going to punch out much, hit for some average. They've kind of struggled at the bottom of the lineup with their catchers. I mean, Valenzuela's like bunting like half his at bats. It's pretty crazy. Heineman's not really doing much either. So for me, I think talking about today, you're probably right. Phillies are a better club. They've played so much better under Mattingly. We talked about last week. It's been awesome. And again, we talked about Christopher Sanchez, and he did it again. More shutout innings. I mean, this guy still hasn't given up a run this month, and we're on the 25th. So it's crazy. Um, yeah. So if we're talking about today, you're probably right. I should move the Phillies up to 15 and Jays down to 16. But Twins, kind of like you were saying, really surprising over 50 games into the season that they're even hanging around 500. Similar to the Mariners 50 games into the season, I didn't think they'd be under 500. And especially not by, I think it's 4 games. Are they 4 games under? 3 games?
I think they are. Yeah, they're 4 games under
25
right
and
now.
29.
See, what's so
So
bad is,
we're about a third of the way in. Yeah,
yeah,
oof,
and what makes it
pretty
even
bad.
worse is the Mariners can sweep the A's and all of a sudden they're in first place. Like that's how bad the
Which is
American League
great.
West is.
Yeah, no, that's great. But we've talked about this individually, and I think we've even mentioned on the pod. The Mariners winning the division, like that'd be sweet and dandy. This team shouldn't have winning the division as their goal. Coming into the season, it's been World Series. And you can win the division with 85 wins this year, probably in the West, which is sad to say, but it's probably true. And I'm sure they will. I mean, I'm still certain today that the Mariners will probably win the division. The issue is they stacked up against some of these teams in the top 10, recently. I don't want to spoil, but they got swept by one of them, the season series, and they're done. And then they played a team that's where we have ranked in the mid 20s. They got swept the first time, and then a few weeks later lost the series again. And it's one of those things where for me, it's not really about the division. Like we can both agree they're probably winning the division. Like I know they're underperforming. We have them in the mid-teens. They're probably still winning the division. I just think for the M's, like I similar to the Jays, I know they've had injuries, but there's still so many guys on that team who you expect to be producing, and they are producing. But I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if it's dead last or if it's bottom three, but I'm pretty sure the team is dead last in average with runner scoring position. They cannot get it done. And that's a big issue. A lot of that stuff, it's not really a fluke when you put it over that big 50 game sample size. So for me, I think that's one thing that needs to improve. And whether that's personnel or whether that's philosophy, I don't really know. But there's a reason a team that talented you have at 17, I have at 18. It they should be in the top 10, just being realistically speaking. So that's a team that has kind of surprised us in a negative way, as the Twins have surprised us in a positive way.
Yeah, and I mean, just like for the Mariners, one, they're fourth in walks with runners in scoring position. That's the only reason their numbers are like even somewhat inflated with runners in scoring position. Other than that, they're pretty much bottom three in every single category. Batting average, they're under 200. Slugging, I think it's like under 600. It's all just bad. Like, yeah, you can draw a walk, but that's not necessarily what you always need with runners in scoring position. Like they're there because you need to drive them in. I just think the overall situational hitting is not as good as it was last year. I think some of the clutchness that they had last year is all just like gone. Like some of that magic they had, it's not the same. The team is obviously not the same. It Watching the team, it feels like the team is. It's clearly a team that is having not like a postseason hangover because you don't really have that, but it's this team's first time going playing a whole nother month of baseball, and now you have a whole month less of an off season. I just wonder if the guys are tired already, and we're almost in June. Like like you said, the Mariners will make the playoffs. I still think they can win the division, but how are they going to match up against any top five team in the American League? How are they going to stack up against literally any team in the National League? Like I just think the National League is so far superior than the American League, like by far, and I just think the Mariners are going to have trouble in the playoffs. I'll be straight up if they unless they turn it around, which I think they can, but sometimes you just can't score a throw in scoring position. That's just going to be your identity for the whole year. So that it just is what it is.
I think the defense too is very worrisome. The defense is very worrisome.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't really have plus defenders anywhere except for probably a couple positions around the diamond. It's getting pretty bad. And I mean, J.P. Crawford made one of the worst throws I've ever seen in my entire life watching baseball yesterday.
yeah,
It was a routine ground ball, and he threw it so far away. Naylor couldn't. He like just looked at it. It was routine, and when I mean routine, I mean he's out by 3 steps.
yeah, and
Like
he
it's not
just
like close play.
yeah,
Like it was one of the worst throws I've ever seen, and they keep running him at shortstop. That, anyways, we should move on to the next tier.
yeah,
I don't want to make anyone too mad.
yeah. So you can start us off 15 through 11. Just give us your thoughts on
All
any
right,
team on
15
there.
through 11. We talked about the Jays already. I had the Jays at 15, but I kind of agree. If I had to redo the list, I'd put the Phillies at 15, Jays down at 16, like you did. From there, I had Pirates 14, White Sox 13, Reds at 12, and the Diamondbacks at my 11th spot.
I like that. I put Phillies at 15. I did the Pirates and then the Reds, then the Diamondbacks and White Sox, which to be honest, that's a pretty like obscure like middle of the pack teams right there.
Yeah,
Didn't These are teams
yeah,
I would say that we didn't really think would be in this spot. I guess the Phillies you kind of would, but the other four teams, the Pirates, Reds, Diamondbacks, White Sox, we didn't think that they would be I guess in the situation that they're at now. Like we thought the Pirates would have had their moments, but did we really think they'd still be
yeah.
hanging around about 500? No. The Reds, they haven't even had Eugenio Suarez, their power bat, for the last month, and they're still hovering around 500. Yeah, they had like a crazy losing streak a couple weeks ago, but even outside of that, they've been able to fight it off and still stay above 500, especially in a division that is everybody's above 500. That division is crazy. I mean, the Cubs just went on a crazy losing streak, and all of a sudden, what? The Brewers are in first place, right? That's what. Yeah, the Brewers are in first place, and the Cardinals are still hanging around. So, the Pirates, when you're in last place at 27 and 26, like you're doing something right, but you also it's just tough because everybody else is also doing something right in your division.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Four of the five teams in this tier, maybe, I mean, you could say Diamondbacks, you could kind of expect. Like, they're this caliber team. They're, somewhere 11 to 20. But the three teams of Reds, White Sox, and Pirates, I personally didn't expect to be here. Definitely not the White Sox. Pirates, maybe. Reds, I don't know. I'm not high on the Reds. We've talked about this a few times. I just don't think they have the pitching to get it done. But, I mean, they've kind of been making it work. But I will say this. I know Kurt isn't here. Kurtis, the man, he's not here right now. But he told me, please talk about the Diamondbacks. And I can't let that go unnoticed. The Diamondbacks have been so hot right now. They're getting amazing pitching out of multiple guys. Their bullpen's not really having to do too much work because they're having huge leads. We got Corbin Carroll playing really well. We're having pretty much everybody on the team playing well. I mean, Ildemaro Vargas is still hitting over 300, but the guy that Kurtis told me there's no way I cannot talk about is Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte in his last 10 games has 19 hits. He's hitting 463 with 3 bombs, 12 ribs, and a 1258 OPS in his last 10. He's been so hot. He's getting it done situationally. Walk-off tank the other day, and he's just getting on base all the time, whether it's via walk or hit. He has been awesome, and the Diamondbacks have really been awesome. That's why they climbed all the way up to 11 on my list. If they weren't in such a stacked division, we'd be like, hey, maybe they have a chance, but they're sitting in third place at 28 and 24. So
Yeah, and not only that, another guy that we didn't even mention, Nolan Arenado's he's having a nice bounce back
he's playing well.
season. Like he's been doing great. It must be weird for Rockies fans watching him in your division playing for the Diamondbacks, but I mean, it's been nice to see. I mean, if they literally weren't in the NL West, I think that the Diamondbacks would have a shot to win the other two divisions. Well, I guess maybe not the NL East, but you put them in the NL Central and any team in the American League, the Diamondbacks are going to have a really good shot of winning those divisions. Unfortunately, they're in the gauntlet NL West with the Padres and the Dodgers, and mainly the Dodgers. So, but yeah, definitely not like a surprising start for the Diamondbacks, but like it's just really nice to see because we didn't really know what was going to happen with this team. I mean, they brought back Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly on 1-year deals. Kelly was meant to be their opening day starter, gets injured in spring training. Like the depth isn't as deep as they should. I mean, their bullpen is literally full of right-handed guys. They don't have a single
Yeah,
left-handed reliever in their bullpen, and they're finding ways to
no,
win ball
done.
games. It's just
Yeah,
pretty
they're playing
crazy.
fun baseball, man. I mean, Ryan Nelson had a great outing the other day. He's kind of stepped up. I mean, start of the year he was awful, but since he's been a lot better. Merrill Kelly's had a couple good outings as well. They're kind of just getting contribution out of a little bit of everyone. I wouldn't really say anyone's truly carrying. I know Catel's played amazing of late, but Corbin Carroll's being Corbin Carroll. I would like to see Geraldo Perdomo kind of get back to what he was last year. But at the same time, you can't have everything go your way. They've been playing amazing baseball. They're really fun to watch. White Sox are playing solid baseball. They're pretty fun to watch. Um, I want to talk about one guy on the White Sox, and it's Grant Taylor. I know his stats are pretty solid for a reliever, but getting to watch him pitch, I mean, he is lethal. He's fastball top of the zone. He's breaking ball off of it, and it's legit. I know I'm a Yanks fan, and I'm hoping Grant Taylor's going to be a Yankee. I mean, he already pretty much is. He gave up a grand slam to Devers yesterday, so
Oh,
that's pretty much a rite of passage to being a Yankee. I'll tell you
oh
that.
yeah, yeah. No, when he was closing out the game against the Mariners, when the Mariners were doing their piggyback situation, which is just a whole different thing that I don't even want to get into. But dude, his fastball is lethal. You throw that at the top of the zone and then you pair it up with the off speed, dude. It's actually lethal because it just
Yeah,
his stuff just looks so nice. It just comes off so smooth off the hand. He's definitely one of the more underrated relievers on a team that has just been underrated overall and not really talked about enough. Outside of, I would say, Mutaka Murakami and Colson Montgomery, it's mainly just those two guys everybody's talking about.
yeah. No, I agree. They've been pretty fun to watch. Their pen's been surprising. So, no, I'm excited for what the White Sox have the rest of the year. I mean, their starting pitching's been fun. Noah Schultz is kind of getting his feet wet, and obviously he's a big prospect, but I think he's throwing the ball pretty solid to start his career, and obviously Davis Martin's been huge for them. Still sub 2 ERA, so he's been amazing. So, yeah, White Sox are a fun team. Something crazy happened in our 6 through 10 section of this. and we actually had the exact same teams in the exact same order.
Yeah.
So, do you want to list those off for us?
Yeah. So 10 through 6, we're going to start off number 10, which is the St. Louis Cardinals. Number 9, we've got the Sacramento Athletics for now. And then we have the Cleveland Guardians, Chicago Cubs, and the Padres. That is our 10 through 6. The exact same. No changes. It just seems like so right for those 6 through 10 teams.
Yeah. Yeah. So, fun thing for me is a couple weeks ago we were talking about how the Cubs are unbeatable, and then now that they can't win a game since then. I mean, they're losing in all sorts of ways. It's pretty brutal. They can't really score runs well. Shota, who's pitched so well, got absolutely plastered yesterday. So it's one of those things for me that the Cubs, like, I think we mentioned it on that episode, or at least I remember thinking it, is I still don't think their pitching is enough, and it's definitely not enough after all these injuries have gone down. We mentioned the injuries earlier, and now Edward Cabrera, you got to add to the IL. Matt Boyd's on the IL. Justin Steele hasn't pitched since 2024. Or no, I think he made 1 or 2 starts last year, but
Yeah.
and then he got Tommy, so he's still out. I still don't trust their bullpen. I think Palencia's out, isn't he out?
I think he came back not too long ago.
Maybe he's back. He's back, but regardless, I already didn't believe in their pitching staff, and now half the rotation is out. Obviously, Cade Horton's out. We talked about that way long ago.
Yeah.
He's out for the year. So it's one of those things for me that, like, I would love to think the Cubs can do it because on paper they have a really fun team. BCA, he's a fun player. He missed a ball and it was an in the park home run. That was embarrassing. So I don't know. I think the Cubs are solid. I think the Padres have played better of late. Or not better of late. They're playing solid baseball as they kind of have all year. For me, it's still one of those things like, when are Tatis and Machado going to get going? Genuinely. Like, when is it going to happen? Because when they do, the Padres could be a real threat. Neither of those guys have really produced at all this season. So they need to get going. We're a third of the way through the year, and the Padres are pretty much winning all these games from their bullpen and situational hitting, and it's just obscene to me. So they're our 6th spot. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean Gavin Sheets has been doing a lot of the production for that team, if not like majority of it. I mean Tatis still hasn't homered once this year. His ground ball rate is exponentially high, but his hard hit rate's at an all-time high. So something's got to change.
Yep.
Machado, I think we're just starting to slowly see like his age get, maybe not his age get to him, but like the age really become a factor for him. We've seen him be so consistently good throughout his entire career. Now this is the first time where we're this late into the year and he's still slumping this bad, just below average numbers all across the board. Yeah, he's signed for the Padres through his age 40 season, so that's going to be an interesting conversation a year or two down the line when if his numbers continue to trend in a negative way. But yeah, the Cubs, they're a very hot and cold team. I think for them it's just going to be, can their hot streaks outweigh their cold streaks? And I think another team, I mean, how are the Cardinals still in top 10? I think it's just them having their tarps off. They started a trend, and now all of a sudden,
It's got to be the Cubs. Has to be.
it has to be. I mean, there's no other way. But I mean, they're still finding ways to win games. They're only a game and a half out of first place, 29-22. I mean, they've kind of just had a really nice balance throughout all the board for everybody, really. It just seems like so many difference coming through for the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think a lot of players are contributing in different ways. Jordan Walker is obviously the name that people are going to gravitate to because he's finally becoming the prospect that people thought he was going to be with all those tools, how hard he can hit the ball, how far he can hit the ball. He's finally coming through with that. But, I mean, even guys like Nathan Church, Victor Scott, you got J.J. Weatherford as a rookie really playing well. So there's tons of players on this team that, you wouldn't really expect to be having solid years, and they kind of all are having good years at once. So they're a team that's kind of fun to watch. They're pretty much, to me, I view them as like one of those Marlins Nationals type teams, whereas like you don't really know what you're going to get, but it's going to be kind of funky and it's going to be kind of good. But they're that team in a way more successful manner. They're playing really good baseball right now. They deserve a spot in the top 10 right now. I will say I did contemplate putting the Diamondbacks in there, but I think that was a little bit of recency bias. So I kept the Cards in, and then funny enough, we both did. I want to touch on the Guards. Cards are playing really well. Gavin Williams is breaking out like crazy. He's been amazing. Cade Smith's locked down to the back end. Bazana's hitting homers. J. Ram's the best base runner in the league right now. I mean, the guards are doing the guards thing, and Stephen Vogt may be on his way to another Manager of the Year award. Maybe not. I don't know. Kevin Cash will probably take it from him, but I don't know. Guards are doing the guards thing. It's fun
Yeah.
to watch. They play funky baseball, but it works.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, their bullpen is just. I feels like the Guardians are like a pitching lab. They can just find anybody and fix them. I feel like it took him a little bit of time, but Gavin Williams is really breaking out. I mean, his stuff is just lethal. Like he's got a nasty
Yep.
curveball, sweeper, whatever it is, and then he just throws the high fastball. Like it's beautiful. I mean, his it's really nice to see him break out. I think he's got one of the highest strikeout percentages in the league. He's definitely top five for sure. I think it's like over 30%, which is
Yep.
absurd. Um, JRM hasn't even been playing at like the level that you would expect him to for a superstar,
No.
but he's just torching everybody around the bases and doing everything he can. He's doing all the small things that make like in game matter way more, even if he's not being like as superstar level as he is. I still think he like kind of is in some sense, but um, not the same. I mean, overall for the Guardians as an offense, I mean they're middle of the pack, bottom half, and everything. They're hitting 228 as a team, which is 25th. They're below 700 on OPS. They have 55 homers, which is literally smack down in the middle. But yet, when you look at their defense, their opponent batting average is top 10. Opponent OPS, their pitching numbers are all like top 10 in the major categories of batting average, runs scored. Like they're not giving up a lot of runs. So their offense isn't
No.
great. Like on paper, it's not great, but their pitching is doing so well that it keeps them in their game. And I think their offense is doing better than it has like the last couple of years. I feel like at least last year, it's definitely way better than last year. More consistency than last year, I would say, which is why with how good their pitching staff is, it's made them easier for them to win games.
Yeah, no, they've been a pretty fun team to watch. I like the Guardians a lot, and honestly, they're already. I mean, you could make the argument they're running away. I know the White Sox and Twins are hanging in there, but to me, the Guards are definitely going to win that division as of now, especially with how bad the Tigers have been. Uh, we'll just touch on the A's before we get into that top five. A's have been fun, and Nick Kurtz is the man. I mean, he's on base every game. He gets hits. He hits the ball hard. His hands are so high, and it's like kind of an unorthodox way to swing. But he just absolutely hammers the ball a lot all over the yard. Their lineup is so deep. I know we mentioned Carlos Cortez earlier in one of the first couple episodes. He's still kind of doing the same thing, getting hits and such like that, walking and not striking out, doing all that good stuff. Soderstrom's been good. Langoliers has been amazing. So their lineup is really, really fun to watch. That's why they're in this 9 spot. But again, they're probably one of the worst division leaders that we have, if not the worst. So we mentioned how the Mariners could overtake them. The A's are playing good baseball. We got to reward them for now. Put them at 9.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, their pitching like in paper also isn't great. Like I don't really know many of the guys in their bullpen that can be shut down. And I would say like not that they're overperforming, because I'd say they're kind of playing how they should be. Um, the pitching is done a little bit better. Severino isn't as bad as he was last year. Um, the, I mean, yeah, it's just a fun team to watch. I mean, that lineup is always going to be super fun to watch. Definitely when the offense is clicking, it's a top five lineup in the game. I feel like. I mean, with all the guys that you mentioned with Soderstrom, I mean Lawrence Butler has been. You still have Lawrence Butler as well. That they've been putting him towards the bottom of the lineup. Jeff McNeil, who they traded for from the Mets. Yeah, they've been trying a lot of different guys at third base. I feel like. I mean, I saw Max Muncy there for a couple of games. It just feels like that's like the one spot where they don't necessarily have a guy. I know that they have Leo DeVries down in the minors playing games at third base right now, because I mean, realistically, he knows if he's gonna get the call up to the big leagues, he's not gonna be playing shortstop because they already have Jacob Wilson there.
Yeah. No, the A's have been a fun team to watch. I hope it continues because they're really a team that like can kind of just flat out hit, and I think especially in the next few years as they start like actually moving to Vegas, it's going to be a spot where free agents might actually want to go.
Yeah,
I know there's still going to be a stingy team, but like Vegas is actually a spot like, hey, like I'll go play in Vegas. So I mean, we've even seen with the Vegas Golden Knights, they've really put together an amazing team at the start of their existence, I guess. Past few years, they already have won a cup and they're up 3-0. Anyways, this isn't hockey.
Yeah.
Anyways, top 1 through 5. Um, we were pretty. I think we were somewhat similar. I would be curious to hear why your ordering is the way it is, but I'll say mine first. I had the Yankees at 5, Brewers 4, Rays 3, Braves 2, and the Dodgers at the 1 spot.
Yeah, and we both had the same 5 and 4. I had the Yankees and Brewers at 5 and 4, but then I had the Dodgers at 3. I put the Rays at 2 and the Braves at 1. I put the Braves at 1 just because I think they're gonna end. They're just the best team in the National League right now. The way they've been playing, it's like they've been finding just brand new ways to win. And I know you'll talk about it, Maddie, about the Yankees or the not the Yankees, the Dodgers bullpen scoreless streak, which is absurd. Um, but I just think right now with the
Yeah.
way the Braves are playing, if you match up the Braves and the Dodgers in a 5 game series or a 7 game series, I think the Braves come out on top just with how the Dodgers are playing. Um, I mean, Mookie Betts has been injured. He's been sidelined for a while still. Otani, I mean, he's been pitching like a Cy Young wizard, but offensively hasn't been really been that like MVP level. He's definitely sacrificing a lot of his hitting for his pitching, which is going to be very questionable, I guess, down the line because the team people are going to wonder, do they want his bat in the lineup every day, or do you want him to be shut down 7 innings every 5 days? So that's going to be a question, especially because they haven't been playing him in the lineup every day to have him rest up. I mean, maybe it's just his body getting tired. They don't want to overuse him at this point. Um, Whatever the case may be, just a lot very interesting things going on for the Dodgers right now. Meanwhile, the Rays, I think they've been by far the most consistent team in the American League. I mean, they've been like we mentioned so many times. The Rays, they're just home wizards. They're still 19-5 at home. Like that's absurd. I think they were like pretty absurd at home last year too. So I don't know what it is about them being at home versus on the road, but when they're at home, they're pretty unbeatable. And I think overall, just their brand of baseball is so consistent because they just small ball you to death all night. You get a guy on at first base, the guy's probably going to steal second. Guys on second, you're probably seeing a bunt. Like they're forcing defenses to throw the ball. And when you're forcing guys to throw the ball multiple times an inning and multiple times a game, you're eventually going to see a bad throw or an errant throw. You're going to cause someone to make a mistake, and that's just what the Rays do. They're just going to try to exploit you in any minor detail, which is kind of what it makes them fun to watch in some sense, but it could also be very annoying if you're watching your team lose to the Rays because of just how the Rays do it. It's so unconventional and nothing like today's game where it's all about hitting homers and striking guys out and just getting a lot of walks.
Yeah. I'm seeing where our disagreement's gonna start here. So you have the Dodgers at 3, I have them at 1. Um, for me, you mentioned 7 game series, 5 game series, Braves Dodgers. I don't know if I feel that the Braves are going to be able to beat them in that series right now. Especially, well, let's just hypothetical do some pitching matchups. I mean, obviously, like having Shohei and Yamamoto, I just feel good having those two guys at the top of any series. So for me, that's why I would give them a little bit of an edge. But also, I want to get into Shohei's last 10 games stats wise. In 457 with 16 hits, 2 tanks, 12 ribs, nine walks, and a 1356 OPS in his last 10 games hitting wise. So for me, that's just what I came to. Hey, Shohei's back to being Shohei with the stick, or at least of that nature. So, and obviously we know how their staff is. Great staff. It's 13 times better of a staff when their bullpen is immune to giving up any runs. They haven't given up a run in the last I don't even know how long. I think 3 weeks or something crazy like that. So Dodgers to me are still just the best team in baseball. Until proven otherwise, it's gonna be hard for me to change that, especially when you got guys like Kyle Tucker starting to heat up. You got guys like Andy Paz playing crazily well for just absolutely no reason. And honestly, they still have injuries that are holding them back a bit. So they're such a good team. I'm a little bit lower on the Rays. They're a really good baseball team, and they have been amazing. They've been on a really good run. I believe they're like their last 20 games are like 17-3 or 16-4, something absurd like that. But at the end of the day, I think that kind of baseball is a little bit less sustainable than hitting, for power and average. I'm not saying like polar opposite one way or another. I just think even over the past week, when you don't get those flare singles, those soft hit singles, you can't small ball, and it makes it a bit tough. I was watching the Yankees Rays game yesterday, and they really struggled scoring runs against the Yankees. The Yankees starting pitching really held them down. They got some guys on, but it's tough to use small ball when you're going 1, 2, 3. You're getting routine outs, and sometimes you won't win games because you can't score runs without slugging. So I think there needs to be a little bit more balance. Obviously, they have Caminero, they have Diaz, they have Aranda, which those guys are phenomenal and they can hit bombs. But I think, once you get to that middle bottom of the order, you stop fearing the long ball. And a lot of the Yankees pitchers were kind of not grooving it, but being more cognizant about, hey, let me throw this in the zone. More likely than not, they're going to hit a ground ball to second or pop up or something. And it really worked. So I think the Rays are a great team. They're on a really good run, and I see them making the playoffs and maybe winning the AL East, even though the Yanks are a good team as well. But I just think they might be susceptible to going on a pretty bad run if the offense slumps. So that's my reasoning for that. I also want to get into the Brewers at 4. The Brewers have played amazing baseball since Churio came back. We talked about their bullpen a few times. Their rotation's awesome. Miz is unhittable. I don't know how anyone gets hits off him, to be honest. So for me, the Brewers, I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning of the year if their bullpen and their rotation was going to be able to do it. But after seeing Kyle Harrison just become a different pitcher in that pitching lab, I guess they just spawn guys in who are really good. So I really like watching the Brewers play right now. The top of their order is absolutely lethal. With you got Churio, you got Turang, you got Contreras, you got plenty of guys. Yelich came back, hit a bomb today. So Brewers are really exciting. I think they can for sure win the Central, but I mean we never know. Central's really tight.
Yeah, this has been like the same story, different year for the last 4 years for the Brewers. Oh, are they really gonna make that run? Are they really gonna do it? They come out being one of the best teams in the league, year after year, and yet they traded Freddie Peralta in the offseason. Never thought, oh, how are they really gonna be good? I was one of those victims. I fell for the bait, and I was heavily wrong because you can never doubt the Miz. And that lineup has just been carrying the weight. And like you said, Yelich has been back, which is huge. They've been just been going insane since Churio's been back as well. They've just had so many different contributions. I mean, that bullpen is really good as well. I mean, just a really fun team to watch, I feel like. I mean, Andrew Vaughn has been doing really good at first base for them. They got him last year from the White Sox, and he's just taken over. Because, they had the job to Rhys Hoskins. They had two right-handed first basemen, and they traded for one of them, and Vaughn just went absolutely nuclear and just kept his job ever since. They got Bryce Turang, Salfrey. They just got a lot of guys that are super fun to watch. And like you said, Kyle Harrison, maybe that's just another form of a pitching lab. They just get guys, develop them the right way. If you're the Red Sox, though, you're beating yourself to the ground right now because you traded away Kyle Harrison, and what you got in you got him from the Giants, and you traded him. There's a lot of questions I have about that, but the Brewers are very lucky to have him, and they will take him any day of the week. That's a solid 1-2 punch right there with the way they've been playing right now with the Miz and Kyle Harrison right there.
Yeah, no, they've been really fun. I know the Yanks are my team. Let's touch on them. They are, I believe, 4 or 6 and 16 or something like that. Their last 16 games, they've really hit a lull. The offense hasn't done it. The bullpen is not good. They have a few guys in the pen who are getting the job done, but a lot of guys are not. But at the end of the day, they still have a good record, and you still have to, respect what their starting rotation is doing. Their starting rotation just got Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon back. So you're sitting here thinking, hey, the Yanks aren't playing their best baseball. Their record's still great, and they're still seemingly going to be better. So for me, that's why they're holding on to that 5 spot. But we both know their ceiling is higher than the 5 spot, and they think that they can be a better team than the 5 spot. Just are they going to, be able to pull the trigger on a couple of trades towards the deadline, really get that bullpen back together? Are they going to be able to, work through some of the offensive kinks that they've really dealt with? I know Judge had one of the worst 12, 13 game stretches of his MLB career till he hit that bomb last night, or yesterday, I guess, afternoon, walk-off bomb. So that was cool to see, but at the same time, like, as a lot of teams are, if Judge goes, the team goes. If he doesn't go, it's a little bit tougher to see the team really performing. So Yankees hold on to 5. If they continue to slide, they're going to fall out of the top 5. The bullpen has just been egregiously bad, and if the offense doesn't step it up, they're going to slip and slide down to 6. Then they'll be down to 9, and and maybe out of the top 10 if they continue playing like this into baseball. But as of now, I mean, they still have put together enough of a season through 50 whatever games to hold on to that top five spot.
Yeah, and I think also big issues. I mean, uh, Wells and Escara have not been the type of catchers, at least offensively, that you've wanted. And I know you definitely want to see the Yankees go out there and trade for a catcher, Ryan Jeffers. I know he got injured, but
Boy, he
he's
just
gonna,
got hurt.
yeah, but he'll still be a name to come out by the deadline, surely, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
hope
just a
so.
interest. I mean, and like you said, I mean, it's just a different judge we're seeing this year, which is like, I mean, he's still been great, but just not the same as we've seen. Like, it's not the same MVP form, and yet he still could go out there and win
Yeah,
MVP this year, which is how crazy of a career
I
he's had. Like, that's just
no,
insane.
he's really good at baseball.
Bellinger's been great. I mean, I've loved watching Bellinger. I don't know, he's got a smooth left hand. It's like he just fits perfectly for Yankee Stadium. Like he is just
Yeah,
that is the type of guy the Yankees have needed for a long while now.
I completely agree. And at the time of this recording, he just went yard. First home run on the road, so good for him. But yeah, no, Bellinger's been amazing. I think one of the less talked about things that Bellinger's been doing that is so awesome. His defense has been otherworldly in left field this year. Whether it's heads up plays, making nice plays on the run, making a diving catch, good throws, he has been outstanding in left field. One of the best outfielders graded in baseball this year. So I think that's one thing of Bellinger that the Yankees really valued when they went to re-sign him. They're thinking, all right, well, Kyle Tucker went to the Dodgers. We need Bellinger back, but if he doesn't go, our outfield defense is really going to suffer. Grisham, solid in the outfield, but then it would have been Dominguez starting every day and left. Not a good defender out there. So I think Bellinger has been everything the Yankees were hoping when they gave him that big deal. So for me, I'm happy with how he's played, but at the end of the day, Yanks really got to pick it up. Ben Rice is also the man. So we
Yeah.
haven't mentioned him, but he's the absolute man. Yanks got to pick it up, but right now they stick at 5. I don't really have too much else to say. I feel like we covered a lot of the teams. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to touch base on any other players or teams.
No, I was just gonna end it off. I mean, we pretty much covered everything. I was gonna say we can end off saying which team do we think could make the biggest jump with next to our power rankings?
Hmm. What team is going to make the biggest jump? Man, I think it'll be the Mariners.
You think so?
I think it'll be the Mariners. I mean that's kind of a cop out because
I was gonna say the
assuming
Phillies.
let's say they sweep, yeah, I could see the Phillies as well. I could see the Phillies as well. I think that middle tier, 16 to 20, kind of where we are hammering home a lot of those teams who are higher ceiling. I could see a big inflation with those teams. I think Mariners and Phillies. I would say
Yeah.
probably the two most likely. Who's gonna fall the most?
Who's
Let's
gonna
do it.
fall the most? Ooh. That's a good question. I'm gonna say the Reds. I think the Reds are gonna take a pretty big fall, and I just think, like, I just I don't know. Like their bullpen has been really struggling to close games out. I mean, I think just the team in general they've been struggling to close games out. I mean, I just I don't know
Yeah,
how. I mean, it's just gonna be really hard for them to stay consistent compared to these other teams. Like with the Pirates, they at least like they got Paul Skeens. Like
yeah.
you have a
They have
like
a good pitching staff.
yeah. Versus the Reds, like yeah, you have Andrew Abbott, but he's been underperforming. Hunter Green's still out for another month and a half at least. Um, you lost Emilio Pagan and he to a hamstring injury, and he hasn't even been like you signed to a 2-year deal, and he's just been underperforming up to that rate. Um, haven't really heard much about Ellie De La Cruz. I know they're still 4 games out, but it's just gonna be hard. Like they're kind of have to kind of rely on someone on their pitching staff to majorly step it up. And then Ellie De La Cruz just is going to have to kind of play at an MVP level, in my opinion, for them to have a shot. Yeah,
Which he's played amazing this year. I
yeah,
don't want that to get understated. He's been great this year.
yeah,
But I agree exactly with what you're saying. Like they don't have absurd depth and a ton of contributors on either end of the spectrum, pitching or hitting. So I agree with that. I think that's a good pick.
yeah.
My pick's going to be high. I'm deciding between two, and sadly, they're both in the top 10. I'm decided between the A's and the Cardinals. Because for me, the A's is the easier pick for them to fall. Because let's pretend the Mariners sweep, then you're sitting here with the A's, 3 games under in second place, and you don't feel like they're going to be able to gain the ground that you feel the Mariners will be able to. But the Cardinals, for me, talked about a little bit. They feel Nationals or Marlinsy,
Yeah.
where they're kind of just a fun team, and they are playing good baseball. But you really look at the ins and outs, and you're like, that team isn't awesome. They're playing well, but how good are they? I don't know. So I think between the A's or Cardinals, one of those teams could fall 7 to 10 spots, just being realistic.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, going back to the Reds a little bit, some of their highlights that they've had. Chase Burns, 6-1 with a 1.83 ERA. He's been dealing. He's been electric. Sal Stewart, 256 average. His numbers are kind of back down to earth, but he had an insane start to the year. 12 homers and 34 RBIs. Then also like Ellie De La Cruz, he's got 288 batting average. He's probably going to be the all-star starting shortstop. I mean, he's just been playing at that kind of level. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, Andrew Abbott's numbers are kind of back down normal, but I think he's just gonna have to pick it up. But yeah, I do. Yeah, for the A's and Cardinals, that does kind of feel like a cop out, but I definitely think those two teams could easily make like a step down. Especially the Cardinals. I just think the Cardinals are big frauds, but that's just my opinion. I think they're overperforming, which is good for them, but I don't think it'll last.
Yeah. No, once that TARP squad goes away, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, but if it stays the whole year, then they're just gonna keep.
They might win the World Series.
Yeah, they might win it all. Like that's gonna be cooked.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think the
all summer then.
yeah, I just think the NL Central will come down to the Brewers and the Cubs at the end of the day. Do I think the Cardinals can make the playoffs? I mean, I think they can make a shot. Like I think they can make a run, but I just don't know how good. I think they could be regular season good, but when it comes to the playoffs, if the Cardinals were to make it, I think they lose first round.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think those teams are ones that we think are playing good baseball right now. But when you really boil down to like what our expectations are for them, it is more in that 16 to 20 range. So I think that's kind of why we went for those predictions. Like those teams maybe are overachieving the first third of the season, and it'll take a small step down the next. Well, I don't know. We'll probably do this again in a few weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Give or take. So, I mean, by that time, we'll have an even more realistic look at how teams are. It'll probably be at around the halfway point. I'd say that's probably when we're going to give our halfway power ranking. So, I'm interested to see the biggest changes. We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Especially, I think one of the things that we'll probably end up doing as well, because it's almost the end of the month, we'll probably do like our all May teams. Like we'll do a lineup of the best guys throughout the month of May and just see how different those are going to look throughout the year as well as the power rankings. It's just going to be fun to look at and go back and see like how right or wrong we were, just how different it has been between now at the end of the year. It's going to be so fun to see.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm stoked. It's been a great episode. Thank you guys for watching. Happy Memorial Day for everybody who's lost somebody. So
yep. Have a great Memorial Day, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on notifications, podcasts every single week. No Kurtis this week. He should be back next week. If not, then we're gonna punish him. We'll find a way. We'll torture him. He's got to be here. But that's gonna be it.
put your punishments in the comments.
Yeah, put your punishments in the comments. Come on, give us something that we can do. But we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.